Butterflies return someday.
So, if you like, we can talk about names, boundaries, and maybe some differences between respect and surrender. So, I kind of want to begin gently today. Not because this topic is fragile, but because as human beings, we people are, even if we don't consider ourselves fragile people, depends on the day, we might be. The phrase is today is not that day sometimes. And I respect that. And I also trust my listeners. Sometimes you don't need to be rushed. You don't need to be shouted at ever. And you don't ever need to be handled. I respect that. Let me get my settings worked up here. I want this to be a pleasant listening experience for you. You need honesty that moves at the speed of understanding. So let me start where I come from, right? Now, where I'm from, I've lived up and down the East Coast a bit. Not extreme far south like Florida and such, but I am from the South. And where I'm from, names definitely mean something. And it's not just the ones given to you on your birth certificate. The other ones, high value. Hi, Big Mama, Auntie, Cuz, Miss Lottie, Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe might not be your uncle, but he's uncle to you. Peanut and them, Junior, Sister, Sis, Old Head Peaches. Oh my gosh, so many. I could be here all day. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love that about us. And you could go around, you don't even know someone's government name. We don't call it nickname. You could go around and you around someone in an environment for the first time, and someone will use a name, and you're literally like, who's that? Because you had no idea all this time you were around that person, and you had no idea that was their name. But you call them what you call them, because that may be who they are to you. I remember sometimes some of the people I would refer to as other names. Ooh, you ask them what their real name is, and they would repeat back to you what you call them. Yeah, so it's like that. And here's the key part. Nobody forces it. Well, wait a minute. Let me go back, because I just gave the example where they do force it. So yeah, the elders and stuff. Yeah, it was boundary. But like your peers and stuff, if it was like you're hanging with Peaches, or you're hanging with Peanut, or you're hanging with Junie, or Sykes, P Sykes, or something like that, you're hanging with those folks. They might, if they comfortable and think that you're not going to use it against them, then they might share with you what their quote unquote government name is. Maybe. But I guess it depends on the circumstances. But it's not. You get it. We'll say, if you don't know Big Mama like that, then you might not call her that. Now, I will say this. I was raised by a lot of folk that if we called someone Granny or Auntie or Miss whatever, that person was that person to everyone. Respectfully, though. Watch tone. Respectfully. You didn't say it in a certain tone, as if to be sarcastic. You said it respectfully. Because if you're outside of the family, you start with something like ma'am, or miss is fine. You show respect without being required to adopt intimacy or authority that isn't yours to give. And you kind of work your way, and most folks are accepted into the circle, not by any particular demographics. It just is. That's just how it works. So there's, in Southern cultures, well, I don't know how it is now. I'm talking about when I was growing up, and y'all know Gen X is always going to tell. One thing we're going to do is tell you we Gen X. In Southern culture, elders have authority. Back when I was growing up, real authority, and that's for the good, the bad, the ugly. But back when I was coming up, there was a lot of great in it too. But it's earned through time, care, presence, and responsibility. Heavy on the responsibility. And even then, that authority, it stayed within its lane. Big Mama might run the kitchen, but you hope that she is running the kitchen, because if she's not there, I remember sometimes they would go on, if they're going on their trip or they're doing something else, it just feel like the holiday ain't gonna be the same. Those are the folks that settle disputes at the kitchen table or on the porch, or by simply saying, okay, y'all gonna get this right. You understand? You all are gonna straighten this out. And that's just what it was. It meant you were gonna get it straight. That's all it took. That's all it took. You were going to begin the process. Now, it was a process, but you're going to begin the process. That was the final word in the house. It was the final word. Or Pop might simply stand up and say, all right now. And that all right now was signal that is all your shenanigans have come to an end. So you get it. But what didn't happen was that Big Mama does not walk into someone else's home and decide that she's in charge of that home. Nor does Pop. The authority is honored, but it's not imposed. And see, here's where that distinction matters. And that's where I was going with this. And here's where things get tangled in today's conversations. And that's why you hear all these conversations around boundaries. And I'm going to tell you, I think I've said this before. I know I've written it before. That it took me a lot of time, a lot of therapy to understand. Even though now I was living boundaries and I didn't realize I was living boundaries, to really understand them in depth. It took a lot of time. Lots and lots of time. So some people say, well, listen, names are just names, and it doesn't hurt you to say this. It doesn't hurt you to say that. But that is not at all true. Some names are relational, like we just talked about. And we did do a lot of talking about how folks who come from the outside, kind of work their way in, unless, actually, I'm gonna drop it there. But we talked about that. Others are categorical. So there's relational and there's categorical. And those two things, they're not interchangeable. So a relational name is about how I treat you. A category is about how society organizes rules, boundaries, and protections. And see, when we confuse those two, we create conflict where none had to exist. This was some unnecessary mess. And what you get is mess. Now here's the heart. Because for many women who've spoken and have not been heard, they've been talked over, insulted, trampled verbally. And that's not good for any of us. that when a man declares himself a woman, the issue for many is not courtesy. Because as you heard in the first example, this is where it gets different. It's not kindness. It's not whether I can treat, it's not a question of whether I can treat him with dignity. See, in those first examples from Auntie and Junie and all of them, you know, and the friendships, so much that it's relational, it's give, take, it's love, it's connection. I can. We both do. We share. And so we do, willingly. In this way, when for what others are trying to communicate, is the issue is what is being asked of everybody else. Because see, woman is not a nickname. It's a sex-based category that exists. Because women and girls, because women and girls, it recognizes that women and girls face specific risks, patterns of harm, certain anatomy that needs to be tended to health-wise. It's not enough financial resources. There's not enough listening. Yeah, I had to take a breath. Privacy needs, and again, physical realities, physical miracles that just aren't tended to. Never have been to this day. To this very day. We lose mamas and babies, and it really doesn't matter how advanced our countries are. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that the woman is a doctor. It's the way we do things. It's the fact that we don't listen. We haven't invested enough, and we're not respecting said woman. Sex-based categories matter in shelters, prisons, sports, medical spaces, rape crisis rooms, forensics exams, post-rape, data collection. Now, these are not symbolic spaces. I've worked professionally in these spaces. I can tell you, they're not symbolic. I promise you, I'm getting chills at this time with the memories. They're not symbolic. Not symbolic. Not symbolic. They're not social vibes. They're not little scenes in movies. They're not. There are places where boundaries exist because I can't finish that sentence. Where I'm from, so I'm going to move on. Where I'm from, respect does not mean erasing yourself. It doesn't mean erasing yourself. It means knowing where you stand and where others do too. Now, historically, it may have, certainly. Historically. And at times, it means you have to stand solid in who you are. I'm going to just tell you, growing up in the United States South, it's a lot of bitter, but it's so much sweet too. So much sweet. I can call you what you ask me to call you in our interpersonal interaction. And that, like you all say, is human decency. But decency does not require me to pretend that categories no longer exist. You all like to talk about, some folks likes to say, well, you have a bathroom at your home and everybody uses it, not at the same time. You're right. You might have a single place where there's one toilet and one sink and all of that. If I have a gathering, no, unless, it's a mama helping the child or something like that, and, helping the toddler and assisting with that, all the people are not going to file into that place where there's one, thing. Everybody's not going to say, oh, I have to go to the restroom, and everybody go into that one place. So everybody's not going to all go in there together. No, you're not. No. No. So that's not what we do. So you're right. Everyone uses it one at a time. That's boundaries. But if I was throwing an event and they all went in there together, oh yeah, no. No, actually, everybody would have to leave. So because decency does not require me to pretend that categories no longer exist. Decency doesn't require me to pretend that I don't see what I see. Decency does not require that I pretend that anything. It doesn't require me to pretend. And kindness does not require surrender ever. Whatever I do in kindness, whatever anyone does in kindness, is because you want to. That's, you won't see me film, you won't see me write a whole lot of things about the things that I do, because I want to do them, and I don't want them witnessed, noticed, anything like that. I just want to do them. But now if you require me to do them, it's a different, now it's okay. That's going to be a different, now it's different. Let me just say now, women and children deserve clarity. They deserve clarity. Women and children do not need confusion added to systems that routinely and intentionally fail them. Clarity is required for everybody. Stability required for everybody. They need adults who can say calmly and without cruelty, we can respect people, and within that, keep sex-based boundaries. Those things are not enemies. I don't know why folks believe this thing. Yes, I do know why. These two things are not enemies, and we've made them enemies, and they're not enemies. They're not enemies. Respecting people and keeping sex-based boundaries are not enemies. They're neighbors. And when I was coming up, they were neighbors. And forget about when I was coming up. Now, today, neighbors, friends. And see, that's how we be friends. That's how we be allies. That's how we're allies. That's how we cool. Neighbors. Listen, I'm not even interested in shouting. I don't want to shout. I'm not interested in humiliating or bothering people or being bothered. I like people. I like how people make life very interesting. I'm interested in quiet truth that holds its ground. The kind of truth that elders pass down without drama. The kind that doesn't need permission. You can love people. You can treat people well. You ought to. Oh my gosh, it makes life so much better. You can be generous in spirit and live in joy. And still, and in all of that, say, you know what, this boundary right here, it stays. And that's not hate. It's stewardship. That's stewardship. Oh, I believe in stewardship with all my heart and soul. Stewardship. And stewardship is actually how cultures, businesses, families thrive. Stewardship. Now, if this episode resonated with you, please, sit with it just for yourself. If you want to share it, feel free to share it. No requirements. I don't profess to have a huge stage or anything like that. But if you like, share. You don't have to argue it online. If you want to, fine too. You don't have to explain it to anyone. Some truths are just meant to steady you, not mobilize you. I do thank you for listening with care, and hope that if you heard some truths, that it inspires you in your greatness. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep on being great. All right, bye. This is Tanya G.J. Prince. Thanks for listening. Y'all be great.